some of my learnings during my study time. Let me find my Bible. Where my Bible at? But anyway, earlier today, I was at the gym, and while I was at the gym, God had me meditating on just the Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot, right? And how God basically wiped out Sodom and Gomorrah because of the wickedness that was going on throughout that town. And so one of the things that hit me again during my study time, I was going through just getting different downloads, writing them down, different things like that. But excuse me, when I was reading back over the story of Lot and the angels that visited his home, and how the men had knocked on the door, and the men were asking them, send out these two men. The people knew they were males, right? But he was like, send out these two men and release them to us because we want to have sex with them. And Lot was basically like, no, we're not going to do that. That's not the right thing to do. Now, mind you, the angels were only there because there had been an outcry prior to the angels showing up, right? The outcry had been so great that God was like, he was going to send basically witnesses, right? The angels were witnesses. The angels went to Sodom and Gomorrah to be witnesses to see what was going on concerning the wickedness in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so, y'all, I was going to do different little breakdowns of this, but it's all flowing together, so you're going to get it how you get it. But anyway, prior to that also, right, Abram had sat and he had pleaded with God, right? He had pleaded with God, like, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to talk to you. He was like, if you find 50 people in Sodom and Gomorrah who are righteous, will you spare the town, right? Abram was pleading. He was interceding for Sodom and Gomorrah. He wanted God to save the town, even if there was only 10 people that were righteous in that town, right? And so God was like, okay, yeah. But the funny thing about it was that Abram kept going down on the number, right? He started at 50, but then he continued to go down on the number. Why? Because he knew that God was a God of his word. So if God would have found 49 people and not 50, he probably still would have torched the city, right? And so as you go on, right, the people are banging on this door. They're trying to get these two angels out because they want to have sex with them. Lot was like, no, I'll send out my two daughters. They've never been with anybody. These were men desiring the angels that were also men. And they denied the women who were virgins. And they said, no, we want these male angels, right? Lot is out there pleading with the people like, no, this is wickedness. Don't do it. The angels move Lot out the door. Pull him back in the house and was like, and basically blinded the people who were trying to bust down the door, right? The people were willing to almost bust down this door. And the angels moved Lot out the way, closed the door, and blinded the people so they could not find the door. The angels then open the door and they say, look, we need you to get out of the town because we're about to destroy this place. What is the message from what I'm sharing with you? There are thousands, millions, I don't know how many people right now who are crying out about TikTok. And there is so much stuff going on throughout this nation, throughout this country. There were people, innocent people, I'm sure, in LA, whose insurance was canceled prior to these fires, and where they could not get money or funding to rebuild. Their insurance was canceled. There was not a cry out as great as there has been a cry out concerning TikTok. There are kids that we have found out that have been essayed and graped, or whatever words you want to use, concerning dealing with these people that we have held at this high esteem, only to find out that many of them are wicked. Where was the cry out? Where was the extreme cry out and concern of these things? The message is the outcry is not great enough. We have sat here and allowed people to tell us we're not going to cry because what does crying do? And we see in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah dealing with Lot and the angels, the two angels that were sent to be witness of the wickedness in the nation. Because the people in Sodom and Gomorrah were crying out to God. They weren't crying out to no wicked government. They were crying out to God and saying, the people here are wicked. There are people crying out right now about TikTok. TikTok. And I get it. TikTok has united a lot of us. It has brought many of us together. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is the same outcry and the same energy that we have for wanting to maintain TikTok, where is the outcry for the justice concerning the people who have been done wrong by this nation? Had there been an outcry at such a great extent that was done, that was executed in this land, nobody wants to cry because they listen to these so-called leaders and they're telling you not to cry. When crying is a tool that reaches heaven. When Hagar was going through everything that she was going through with Abraham and Sarah was like, nah, you done overstepped your place now that you done got pregnant by my man. He's your man too. He your man too now, but you doing too much. And she kicked Hagar out of their land. Hagar was all out somewhere crying. And the Lord came down and heard her cry, heard the cry of her son. And he moved on her behalf because of the tears she was crying. Nobody wants to cry out for things that truly matter. We are crying out about TikTok. And we're wondering why there's no justice being done in the land. We are witnessing millions and thousands of people coming together for TikTok, an app, something that somebody here has the intellect to reestablish in the United States. And we're crying out about an app, but there's not a collective cry out for justice to be had in this land, in the nation. And we're wondering why there's no change being done. Our outcry isn't great enough to reach God's ears. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because of the outcry of the people who were sick and tired of the wickedness that was going on in the land. Don't get me wrong, I like TikTok. I really do. But is TikTok our God now? Are we going to continue to cry out to these people who have made it clear that they don't give a darn about us? The only thing they care about is their money? And we're wondering, how can we stand on business concerning this? We're not impacting the money enough. We're not crying out to God enough for change to be done. The two witnesses were sent to be a witness of the wickedness that was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you know the only people, even though Abram had prayed and said if there's 50 people, spare the land, do you know the only people who got warning to get out of the land before it was destroyed was Lot's family and the in-laws that would have been his daughter's husbands? Do you know those the only people who got warning before the destruction hit? We forget that we serve a God. Yeah, he gives us grace. He gives us mercy. But this is the same God who destroyed, who flooded the earth and only Noah's family was saved. And we see the exact same thing in Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah could have been spared had there been no wickedness in the land. He sent two angels to witness, to be a witness concerning the outcry that the people had. We can cry out about things we love. We love TikTok. Okay, cool. Cool. TikTok is connecting us. But what connects us wholeheartedly even more? All of us are interconnected. We're all interconnected. But it's the spirit that connects us, right? It's not a freaking app. The app is connecting us too. Cool. I like TikTok. But could you imagine the power and the movement in the hand of God that we can see in this earth, in this wicked nation, if more people were focused on crying out to God concerning the injustices that were going on in this land? It's people whose houses got burnt down and their insurance was canceled. It's people who can't get the health payments that they need for life or death situations going on. And they can't get the funds. It's children that's still somewhere trapped in these tunnels that we've been told about all 2024, and ain't nobody told us where is the freaking doorways for the tunnels. How to discover and unearth whatever is covering up the tunnels. We don't have no information about that. But we're crying out because of TikTok. But we want to see justice. We want to see change in the earth. We don't want to cry because some leader, somebody told you what is crying going to do. When there is multiple instances in the word where people cried out and God moved on their behalf. But we crying about TikTok. I seen this one lady and she made a very valid point about the new app that everybody flooded to. And the point she made was there are so many people crying out about, oh, China has this and China has that. And China has a lot of nice things that we have discovered thanks to all y'all merging over to this new app. We forget the type of government that they are sitting up under as well. That was what she pointed out in her video that she made. We also forget the other videos that have been made concerning China, right? And again, China, the people have no beef with you. The people have no beef with you. But we are crying out about things that we ain't even fully processed. We just jump because somebody jumped and you followed the first person to jump. That's really what happened. One person jumped. They're like, oh, this is that. And everybody jumped off the cliff with them. But none of us are jumping on our knees to cry out to God for a true change to be had in this earth, in the atmosphere. We want to stand on business, but what we standing on business for real? Do we really want to see change in the earth? Do we really want to see the wicked brought to justice? Do we really want to see people get their justice due concerning all of the things that they've had to endure? Or do we just want TikTok? I'm asking. There are brilliant minds here in the U.S., all across the globe. You're telling me that there's not a mind that is able to conceive a way to recreate TikTok from a U.S. base? We done discovered aliens and everything else all 2024, and coming into 2025, it's been nothing but interesting stuff. You think the witnesses are going to show up and the work they're called to do in this earth won't be destruction? There were 2 angels sent to Sodom and Gomorrah. 2 angels, just like there will be 2 witnesses. And if you think the witnesses won't be judges, because they will be, you're going to be you're going to be in shock. You're going to have a reason to hate them. Because although they might come to help free those that need to be freed, those of you who love the bondage and the chains that you own, that you gladly hold on to and grip for the life of you, you're going to endure destruction. You don't see that? You don't get that? You don't understand that? When the witnesses come, it's going to be some destruction that takes place. We are crying out for things that we can't even take with us when we leave this earth. The outcry ain't strong enough for the justice that people want to see. It's not strong enough. We're crying out for things we can't even take with us. It can't go with us. And even in the new earth, we can reestablish the thing, right? I just felt like I had to come share that. What I learned, what I studied. Because we want change. We want justice. We want the wicked to have to pay for what they've done. But we're crying out about TikTok instead of crying out to God about the wickedness that's truly going on in this earth. I literally saw people praying to keep TikTok. Something that you can rebuild. It ain't gonna be overnight, but it's something that can be rebuilt. Some people's lives cannot be rebuilt. Some of the trauma that people have endured, you cannot easily rebuild. You cannot easily heal from certain traumas that people have had to endure from the hands of the wicked in this nation. And we're crying about TikTok. There are true victims out here who are not getting justice. This system is not built to actually deliver the justice to the people who have had to go through all of these traumatic things. TikTok not gonna save them. TikTok might bring them some, it might bring the attention that's needed, shed the light that's on the situations that they've had to experience. But where's the true justice? Are the people really gonna be locked up? Will they never see the light of day again? There's other apps. They're not TikTok. But you can't easily recreate another life in the life of an individual who's had their life taken. It's a process to get to a place to where you're healed and you're like, okay, I'm going to continue to move forward and release what hurt me, what caused me to be in this mindset. Everybody don't easily heal from certain things. Certain things you don't just easily brush over. If we had the same energy and the same tears, the same wakes that I done seen people do, to actually get God's hand to move throughout this earth and to bring justice to those who desperately need it, we could have been had all of this stuff out of the way. We could have been overturned and overthrew whatever wickedness and jacked up systems we wanted to overthrow. We praying for TikTok though. We praying for TikTok. We praying for TikTok. Woo, that's what we doing. We praying for TikTok. And I already know y'all ain't gonna like this message. I don't care. That's why I still came on and did it. I don't care. It's people who need us, who need the healing. It's people that need to be set free. And some of them not going to be able to get set free until we cry out as a people. Everybody ain't going to be saved. The word, it basically says that. Everybody not going to be able to go. Everybody not going to want to release the things that's been holding them down and tying them up spiritually. But could you imagine the freedom that we could provide to those who is just needing our cry out for things that truly matter, TikTok has made a way and opened doors for a lot of people. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful memory. That's beautiful connections. Cool. What about the bondage that other people are stuck in, literally, physically? And the only thing that they need for them to be free is for us to cry out, for our outcry to be so strong that it reaches heaven. And God is like, hold up, let me send my two to go check on this. But all he's hearing right now is outcries for an app. The outcry ain't strong enough. We want to stand on business because we want our voice. This is a spiritual war we are fighting. We are in the midst of a spiritual battle. And we're fighting for physical things. We are in a spiritual battle. And we're fighting for physical things. We want our kids to have safe spaces, safe places. Well, it overflows from the spiritual into the physical. And we're crying about physical things. The outcry ain't strong enough. The outcry is not strong enough. And when God sends the witnesses and they have to stand on business for God's judgment in this earth, when they have to bring the plagues and the destruction that's going to hit this nation, for those who have cried out concerning the wickedness that's going on in this nation, while the rest of you participated in the wickedness that's been going on, and then you're wondering why your homes and your lives are destroyed by fire. And that is no jab at the people in LA. I'm just stating, the world's not going to be flooded again. So if it's not water that's going to destroy it, well, what other elements could it be? But we're crying out for physical things in the midst of a spiritual battle. So, I love TikTok too. I do. I really do. And I love that TikTok has united people. I do. I do. But, if some of you don't get out of your head that crying, which, mind you, is also another form of release, doesn't benefit you when the word clearly tells us that it does, when our tears reach heaven and they move God's hand on our behalf, and we begin to cry out for things that genuinely matter, well, what's really going to change? Because what are we really crying out for? Connection? Well, I'm sure if all of us got our minds right, we could be connected in the spirit outside of this app. They just released the telepathy tapes, right? They said it's possible. They gave us the papers. But the app, we want the app. We're all interconnected. And they released the information saying that we have the ability to connect. Even if they're doing it illegally. I don't know if any of you have been chipped and your thoughts are sprayed over the world. I don't know if that has been your story. I might know a person that has experienced such a thing like that. However, what are we crying out about again? And what is it that we want to change again? The outcry ain't strong enough. And if you haven't read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah about Lot, go into Genesis and do so. Because it was the outcry of the people concerning the wickedness in the nation, in the city, in the land, that reached God. And that had him send two witnesses, i.e. the angels, who had to confirm whether or not there was wickedness in the land. See, we always hear the story and we're like, oh, this only happened because of the homosexuality that was going on in that period. But the angels were sent because the people were crying out concerning the wickedness. And the outcry reached heaven. We hardly talk about that part in church. We always talk about Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because of the homosexuality. Oh, we gotta hit the homosexuals, blah, 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 blah. But the people were crying out. There was an outcry concerning the wickedness. And the two angels, the two witnesses God sent down, had to confirm whether or not Sodom and Gomorrah was truly wicked. And once they confirmed the wickedness, i.e. the ninjas knocking on the door, trying to sleep with these angels, they said, move, Lot. We gotta go to work. We gotta destroy this town. Ooh, I hope y'all ready for the witnesses. I hope y'all ready. Because a lot of us don't realize that we are partakers of the wickedness that's going on. We repent verbally, but then go right back into doing the same thing, which is not true repentance. And we keep carrying on doing the things that we know aren't serving us. They're going to move the hand of God, but they're going to move the hand of God for destruction. Not of just certain people, of a community, of the town, of the nation. He destroyed a whole city because of wickedness. There were very few people spared. We think, oh, it's going to be this great number of people. Have any of y'all ever really sat and thought about how small 144,000 is in comparison to the 8 point something billion people in this world? Have y'all ever really sat and thought about that? And we know that 144,000 isn't going to be the only people, right? But have you ever really sat and thought about how small the percentage of people it is compared to 8 billion people on Earth? There's 8 billion people on this Earth, on this planet, on this Earth. 8 billion people, so they tell us. There's only 144,000 plus whatever other miscellaneous number, right? You know how small that is in comparison to 8 billion people? We all just out here continuing to frolic around, have fun, and play. Or, oh, we want to talk down on the next person. We don't want to genuinely love our neighbor, which is a commandment. You want to go and put your mouth on people just because you have envy in your heart concerning something that is, I would say, is out of your control. But little do you know, had you actually done the work on your heart, you might be able to obtain the thing. But your hearts are wicked. And we're using the good God energy that he's given us to cry out about an app. And not crying out to have justice be done and served in the land. Oh, we serve a good God. And indeed we do. But we serve one that's also about that life and will destroy a whole everything and only spare a family. A family. One family. $8 billion, 144,000. And everybody think they're going to be saved. Everybody think they're going to miss the destruction. Where is the rest of the people out of the 8.1 billion going? Only 144,000. And the miscellaneous other number, I know I seen some 7,000s in there. Where is the rest of the 8.1 billion gonna end up? But TikTok. That's it. That's the word. The outcry. Outcry ain't strong enough. It's not focused enough. It's not targeted enough. We want justice. And I guess we think we're going to get it through TikTok. TikTok is going to come and do the miracles for the nation that we need. When we can really just cry out to God. Could you imagine if all of you who have been crying out for TikTok spent the last day crying and praising and worshiping, not just to save TikTok. If you want to add that in, do your thing. But not just to save TikTok, but crying and worshiping for God to come and do a miracle and do a work in the land so the people who need the justice to be served, to be done, that it could be done, that there can be true change in this earth. Could you imagine if all of y'all put that energy into doing something so powerful like that? How many millions of y'all was it? And you want justice for TikTok? All last year has been a big money grab for a lot of people. And the crazy part is y'all gave them the money. The money that they've been stocking up and saving up because they clearly know that something is about to come down the funnel, and they've been doing all of these things, raising all of this money off of y'all. Somebody mama said she only wants y'all to have kids so her grandkids don't have to work. What type of sick stuff is that? Like she ain't old enough to where she can still go work. Just like some of our grandparents and everybody is outside working. You can go to work yourself for your grandkids, ma'am, lady. Take your son with you. Matter of fact, we've been trying to send him back, but I think his country that he came from said they don't want him back. He can take himself and them trucks with him. Anywho, one more day for TikTok, so they say. But go read Sodom and Gomorrah and about Lot and see that the outcry was the ticket for God's hand to move. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 8.1 billion. It's a lot of people. Not that many even talked about in the word being saved. It's tough. But anywho, peace out.